Illuminate Data and Assessments is our actual online assessment tool. It's a tool that AF was using even before the Greenfield model, but we began using it in a very different way. So through Illuminate, our students take all their assessments for their playlists, which are actually a special kind called pool assessments. Pool assessments allow us to create one assessment that has about 20 to 25 questions. But when the student actually begins to take that assessment, it pulls from that pool of 20 to 25, 10 questions every single time. That allows our students to actually get a different test every time they take it. It also allows for, if everyone in the class is taking the assessment at the same time, we're actually delivering a different test to every student from that initial pool of 20 to 25 questions. So that again gives us the flexibility to have SDL be impactful for our students and actually have them learn the material and not just be repeating the same exact quiz of 10 questions. Illuminate is also what we use for our math quizzes, our writing quizzes, our close reading quizzes. It's our essential place of putting in student data that we then pull out into very advanced Tableau reports. Self-directed learning reporting is something that's actually changed a lot since the very first years of Greenfield. In the very first year, it was done primarily through Excel. So it was a lot of manually pulling data from various systems, digital learning tools, and then combining them through Excel macros and formulas. Thankfully, we've come very far from then, and we now use Tableau as our main reporting engine. So we pull data right now from Illuminate, our assessment platform, from every digital learning tool like Zearn or AR360, and we pull that information into a central database and then report on it. So we're able to now put forth very complex PACEline reports that are pretty simple for teachers because they can easily see in one glance how a student is doing as opposed to where they should be in terms of PACE and where they really are in terms of PACE. We're able to now give you details on how many modules a student has completed in a given week, how many attempts a student has in the module, and you can see student by student how they're actually doing. So we've come a long way in our reporting from the first years of Excel to now being able to give these automated regularly updated reports to our teachers. Our reports are actually updated every single day, so teachers are looking at student data every day. There's a report that lets them see how our kids are doing, and they can actually form intervention groups pretty quickly based on the reports because you can subgroup the students into the kids who are on pace or proficient and kids who are behind or advanced really easily in the report, so they're able to do that. Also on Fridays, our teachers get together and they really figure out those groups of kids they want to focus on for the next week. So beyond the daily reporting they look at every single time, they have the opportunity to do a step back as well weekly and get more data from those reports. There's two main ways students know how they're doing. One I think they like over the other. In the actual PLP Cortex, there are little circles that represent each module that actually change colors. So once a student has achieved mastery on their assessment, the circle turns green, which is an 80 or above for humanities and science. If they are between a 70 and 80, it's yellow, and if they are below that, it's red, and if they're late, it's red. So the students have a very clear indication for humanities and science of how they're doing at any given point in time. It also helps for parents because again, it's a very simple red, yellow, green traffic signal type an analogy so people can easily look at it and see how their kids are doing. The other way both children and parents know how they're doing is they get a weekly progress report that goes home. We summarize all the information for that week across every single subject so a parent can see here's the PACE target for this week, here's where your student actually fell, and therefore this is their actual proficiency rating. So once a week that information goes home to parents and children.
We want to make sure that all of our students are being successful, and then we're using data really strategically to target the students that we need to target in order to provide the most critical support. And so what that means is that for every class, for every group of 16 students, each teacher has what we call a focus 4. And the focus 4 are the 4 students that you are going to prioritize giving extra attention to that week. And the way that we do that is through close data analysis. Every Friday, we have a weekly PACEline meeting. And as pre-work for that meeting, teachers analyze all of the PACEline data for the week, and they identify their students who are advanced, proficient, approaching proficient, and below proficient. And they also identify which are the students who met the minimum pacing bar for the week, which are the students who are catching up or racing ahead, and which are the students who might be falling further behind. Using all of that data, they identify 4 target students, we call them the focus 4, that they're going to prioritize for each group of 16 students for the following week. So that might look like I have 3 scholars who, if I really push them on this math standard and I provide some intensive support and intervention, they're going to master that standard, and that's going to be the thing that helps move them on to be able to get the next skill. So I'm going to prioritize those 3 students in math. I also have 1 scholar who is really struggling with problem solving, and I know that they need more intensive support, and so I'm going to prioritize that scholar to help them move from not proficient to approaching proficient. Each Friday, teachers reflect on who their Focus 4 students should be and what particular skills or aims they plan to accomplish with those students in the coming week. We also have a Friday Paceline meeting. And that's for 2 reasons. One is we really want to make sure that teachers are keeping Paceline top of mind as a North Star. We also want to create a space where teachers can come together and share best practices and talk about how it's working to support their students towards making progress on Paceline. And so during the weekly Paceline meeting, teachers reflect on where their students are relative to their goals from the previous week. They do a mini case study of a teacher who's had some significant progress in moving students to identify best practices that the teacher is using that other teachers can learn from. And we also look for areas where a particular student might be struggling across multiple academic blocks, which is then a cue that not only might we need to align our strategies across different teachers, but this is an opportunity where potentially the relationship between the goal coach and family could come into play in helping figure out what we can do collectively to make sure that we're supporting that scholar fully.